Hello everybody, I am Sir Libel1. Today I am going to do a response to two men on the internet. Their names are Larry Solomon and Roosh V. I decided to do a video about these two guys because they both have gotten heat and controversy based on the stuff that they have written on the internet. For those of you who do not know who these two people are, first off, they're not related to each other, and I don't know if they know each other on the internet or in the outside world, but they do have very similar views about gender roles, sex, and Western culture. Well, modern Western culture. So first, let me start off with Larry Solomon. Now to tell you, Larry Solomon is not his real name. I don't know what his real name is, and he refuses to give out his real name to anyone. But he runs, that's his pen name. Larry Solomon is his pen name. He doesn't want to tell anyone his real name. Well, he runs a blog on WordPress.com named Biblical Gender Roles, where he talks about gender roles, roles in sex, and the downfall of, well, quote, the downfall of Western culture and Western civilization, especially American culture and civilization. And he blames it on feminism and egalitarianism. And he wants America to go back to traditional gender roles. And he describes himself as a 42-year-old white Christian male who lives in North Carolina. He believes that women should be submissive to their husbands without question, and that they should stay at home. He believes that a woman's place is in the home. They should not have careers or jobs. What else? He believes that there's nothing wrong with a man having more than one wife, in which that's called polygamy, and he uses the Bible to justify it. But here's the thing that really got to me. Something he said that really got me sick to the stomach. He said that the relationship between a husband and wife is that of a master and servant. When I saw that, I just got a stomach ache. I just couldn't believe what I saw. First off, why would you consider your wife your servant or your slave? Seriously. That's just wrong. Yes, it's good if she does stuff for you, but you should do stuff for her too. Because if you's the master and she's your servant, then you're saying that you're more important than she is. But no. Even if the both of you do have different roles, why would you call her a servant? Why would you call yourself a master? That doesn't even make sense. You're supposed to do for one another. Isn't that what marriage is about in the first place? Giving yourself up for one another, and not just one person trying to submit to the rule and control of another. Get out of here. Also, he's written that wives are the property of their husbands, and he uses the Bible to support this. Like, why would you look at your wife as property? She's not property. She's a human being. Now, this is where Roosh V has gotten the most heat. He wrote an article on his blog back in October or November of 2015, in which he spoke about marital rape, saying that there was no such thing as marital rape. That if your wife denies you sex, then you have the right to not look at her. You should just pretend she's Medusa. Don't look at her face, and just force her to have sex with you. And He has gotten so much hatred over that one article that I mean news sites were all over this guy. There were even videos on YouTube. Like for example, the Young Turks did a response to this guy. And I don't blame them. Like seriously, why would you force your wife to have sex with you? What if she's sick? What if she's physically hurt? I mean, that's sexual abuse right there, and that can land you in jail. You can get in trouble with the law for doing stuff like that. Now, Larry, I'm going to tell you this right now. I am not bashing you because you're a Christian. If you're a Christian, fine. But I do believe that you are misinterpreting some things because you barely talk about the other things about gender relations. For example, you barely talk about husbands loving their wives as Christ loving the church and giving their lives up for them. Because yes, it does say in the Bible for husbands to love their wives as Christ loved the church. And it also says to submit to one another. And to not be bitter and harsh with her. Just look at the New Testament of the Bible. Because I think you skipped over some parts. I'm not a Christian, but even I know the Bible says those things. It doesn't always talk about the wife submitting to the husband. Because yes, you have a role for, you have to do things for her as well. She's not your servant, she's not your slave, she's not your property. She is your wife. She is your partner. Now I want to move on to Roosh V. Roosh V is even worse than Larry Solomon from Biblical Gender Roles. He runs a website named returnofkings.com in which he talks about the same things about gender and Western civilization, but he is more extreme about it. He is a pickup artist, and a pickup artist goes around in public seducing women and trying to get them drunk and taking them back home to bed with them, in which they call it game. Also, he said that he condones rape, and he says that rape should be legal on private property. He considers women to be inferior, and he uses pseudoscience such as evolutionary psychology to justify his belief on women. He believes that women are too emotional, they're illogical, they should not have careers, they should be slaves to men, and all that. He believes that you should beat your kids. He actually wrote an article about beating your children. No, I'm serious. It got taken down, but there's still websites that talks about that one article, in which he says some crazy stuff. He says that your kids should always be in fear of their parents, and you should beat your daughter as she's overweight or has an opinion. You should beat your son if he's playing with Barbie dolls and stuff. He didn't say spank, he said beat. And he even says you should beat them to get them prepared for the real world. Like seriously, why would you beat your kids to get them prepared for life? Okay. Why would you abuse them and put them in fear just so they can do well in life? Doesn't even make sense, dude. Now, one of his fans, he has a fan named Matt Forney, in which he has a blog himself, and he says some crazy things about women too. He says that you should spank and beat your wife, and women should not have self-esteem or confidence because it's not feminine. recently Roosh tried um, to do um, meetups in 43 cities around the world, and and he was getting a lot of hatred and heat over it because people believed that he and his followers were going to go rape a bunch of women or something like that, and he decided to cancel his meetups in all the cities he planned to go to. And the last time I've heard about him, he was hiding at his mother's house somewhere in Maryland, which is kind of ironic. But anyways, these two guys are just. I mean, I've seen some bad stuff on the internet about women, black people, other groups of people, but these people take the cake. Now, I know that um, men got their own share of problems too based on their gender. I mean, everyone has their problems, okay? Women get raped, men get raped. Men get beaten, women get beaten. Men get discriminated against, women get discriminated against. Why do we have to be so one-sided? Seriously, there's no need to be one-sided. We have to look at both sides of the fence. Because everyone is hurting. Not just men, not just women, all of us. We all have things to deal with. And that goes for the feminists too. You're talking about how you hate men, how men should die, and how you should cut off their genitals and stuff. You're just as bad as they are, as the people you're against. And you're going to do nothing but make things worse. Both you men's right activists, or wherever you call yourselves, and feminists needs to get your stuff together. Because you're not accomplishing anything. You're just making things worse for each other. Now, I get that men and women are physically and biologically and psychologically different. Of course, I get that. I understand that. But to treat them as women as inferior or property or as slaves is just wrong. Okay, what woman wants a man to slap them and yell at them and beat them all across the house? Like, what type of woman are you if you want something like that? Why do you want what's bad for you? And plus, you guys like to say that women are happier at home. Well, hate to tell you that, but not all women are happier at home. Okay, not all women are the same as you think they are. Okay, not all men are the same and all women are the same. Okay. Um, Now there's nothing wrong with a woman staying at home and looking after the house and the children. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. If you want to do that, go for it. But you got a lot of women who want to do stuff too, and it's not because they want to be like men. They do it because they actually like doing this stuff. Like for example, art, traveling, music, other stuff. What if they actually like doing those things? What if they're really passionate about those type of things and they want to make a living out of it? Then let them do it. And if they want to stay at home and have a bunch of children, then fine, that's them. Okay? To each their own. There's no reason for men and women to be fighting against each other on the internet or even in the outside world. It's doing nothing but causing problems for each other. It's about time that we start growing up and selling our differences like adults. I mean, overall, just live and let live. that's the end of my response. Comment, like, or subscribe. I'm Sir Libel1, signing off. Have a nice day.